Let's get a perspective on what's happening in Victoria now. I want to catch up with Peter Walsh, who's the Nationals leader in the great state of Victoria. Peter, you must be just flummoxed here. Isn't it time for the opposition to stand up here and unequivocally oppose the lockdown that is unnecessarily crippling your state?
And we are, Chris. It didn't need to come to this. It is crazy the situation we find ourselves in here in Victoria. A proportional response is what was needed. What we've got is absolute extremes, as you've been talking about in your intro. 60 cases, one person going to hospital, as I understand it, who is now out of hospital. And we've got the whole state locked down. Regional Victoria has some easing of restrictions in another 24 hours or so, but again, far too heavy-handed. And as you talked about in the introduction, the language that I think is coming out of the acting Premier's mouth, the Health Minister's mouth and the Chief Health Officer's mouth is just absolutely frightening. They are just trying to scare people. And I think, tragically, it has been working to a degree, but I give Victorians the credit of a lot more intelligence than the current government is giving them, and I think they'll see through it, that we are where we are for no reason at all effectively.
How do Victorians fight back against this? No one wants to break the law. You've got most of your elderly vaccinated. We know about the disease. There's no one seriously ill. No one has died in this country from coronavirus all year. Can they protest? Can they write letters? How can you get the government to actually behave sensibly?
Well, I think the ballot box is the place. We have another 18 months to the state election, but people need to remember what's happened over the last 12 to 18 months. 800 people died in Victoria. More people died in Victoria than collectively around Australia in the issues last year and the lockdowns there. Our economic activity, we're the worst performing state in Australia. We are a basket case because of the current government. It is tragic what's happened to Victoria.
But
we are proud Victorians.
If you're going to rely on the ballot box, you've got to give them a stronger, clearer alternative. It's no good just sitting back and nitpicking. You've got to come out and say that these lockdowns they're not called for. They're unacceptable. And your spokespeople over recent days, we think it might be a bit too heavy-handed. Perhaps it should be more nuanced in the regions. I mean, do they lock down or not? It's a pretty simple question. We all know that with these numbers in New South Wales, there is no way known the state or the city would be locked down.
And that's where we look all the time. We see what New South Wales has done with a proportional response. They've had those local areas where they've been able to eliminate the virus every time there's been a breakout. Victoria, on the other hand, there's communities that are 500 and 600 kilometres from Melbourne who haven't had COVID through the whole pandemic, and they've been locked down. It is absolutely wrong, and I think the word you were looking for that you didn't find it's actually un-Australian what's going on at the moment. We have lost the soul of the country with what's happening here in Victoria.
Yep, maybe that was exactly the word I was searching for. Thanks for joining us, Peter. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Peter Walsh there, who's the Nationals leader in Victoria.